You know, some of you may have heard me talk about my experience with the arts. Most of my experience with the arts have been in the performing arts and theater and college and so forth. I don't play an instrument. My artistic ability is limited to a T-square and a drawing board, but I can definitely do a fabulous two-point perspective. But the one thing I have always looked at is kids that gravitated to realizing their knowledge and their experience through the arts. And here's how it all comes together, because you cannot do art without science, without math, without looking at realizing the technology. And oftentimes when I try to explain this analogy to people, I look at it in two ways, and I'm going to put this mic down so I can use my hands. Stop there. Here is science. Here is math. Both are pretty unstable. It is the T and E that stabilizes them. And in the middle, what does that look like? It's the A. So you can't do STEM without the A. And so when I explain that to people, I often use that analogy because it is interconnected. And everything that I have experienced has an artistic value to it. And how even the very simplest thing you think about, someone had to design it, someone had to graphically represent it, then someone had to create it. And so that is why it is so important that our children understand that these forms of education are interconnected. They are not mutually exclusive. They are not separate from each other. Now, the hope is that Framingham continues to build a school system that celebrates the arts. One of my first teaching jobs in the high school, when I taught here in Framingham, in my third year of teaching, I taught architecture and engineering. And so to teach, and I'm talking old school too, drawing board, T-square, I'm not playing here. But the thing about it is I taught my students to use tools in order to convey their ideas, and convey them in a way that is graphically appropriate and also represents their thought process. And that's essentially what we're looking at today, is we are seeing the reflection of how our children see themselves and how they express themselves, and looking for those opportunities to continue to do that. So as the mayor of the city of Framingham, I'm committed to making sure that we continue to foster the arts in Framingham and do it in a way that allows us to grow programs, but also that make them fiscally accountable as well too, because that's the other part of it. We have to make sure that we are fiscally accountable. And to help me in that effort, in my office, Nadia Ullman, she is the liaison to the Cultural Arts Council. So part of her role is also to spend more time to see what are those initiatives and to look for those places that we can seek further resources for the arts, but also think about ways that we can collaborate with other communities and learn from best practices. So I look forward to continue to celebrate the arts in Framingham. So thank you for having me this evening.